Hello and welcome back to the workshop and welcome back to the Use What You've Got challenge. Last we left off, we fretted the fretboards and we got everything all ready to go. We just needed to do some final sanding. I've gone ahead and done this off camera. We glued the bridge on and got that ready to go. Now all that we need to do is we need to put some oil on his necks and then we just got to assemble them. So first thing I'm going to accomplish today is I'm going to oil these necks so that way I can do the fret dressing and leveling. So I'm just going to do an oil finish on the neck so it's more of a natural feel on the hands. And because we did this on the body, I'm going to use Danish oil. And because the fretboards are already oiled and they use the same oil that we got on here, I'm not going to go ahead and take these off. I'm just going to go ahead and do all of this, and then I've got a screw in here to hang them to dry. Look at the quilt on that. It's quite a bit of stripiness going on in this neck too. Not bad for a table stretcher. Now we're just going to go ahead and let that dry. I'm going to do probably about 3 or 4 coats on this just to get it all nice and smooth and make sure that there's even coverage. And then we can get to assembling. Alright, now that I've got the necks drying back here over my shoulder, there's a few other things we need to take care of with the bodies. First and foremost, I need to make some knobs. Now I'm not going to show this process because I've showed it a few times. I'm going to chuck this up in my mini lathe, turn them into about 19 millimeters by 18 tall. And then I think I want to dye these to match the bodies. So before we get to that, I'm going to chuck this up and cut out 4 knobs. Alright, so now that I've made a right mess of the place, I have decided that I want to dye these to match their respective guitars. So the Among Us one's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to dye it red, like the guitar. The other one is going to be a little more complicated because I want to match the green and blue that's on there. So I'm going to try and carefully do green on the top and then blend it with the blue around the sides of these. And we'll see how that goes. I'm going to start with the Among Us one because it's going to be simpler. And then we'll move on to trying this one. Let those dry, and then I'm just going to do a simple CA finish on it, and that should make them nice and glossy. After a good finish and polishing, these are ready to install. Alright, so we've got the necks drying and we've made a handful of knobs. If you can't tell, I'm getting kind of antsy. So in the meantime, while these are drying, I think we should start wiring up these guitars. So I'm going to start with the basic one. I'm going to start with the Among Us guitar because that is a very simple wiring project. And then we're going to move to the Acoustasonic, which is going to get a little more complicated. So as you see, I've already gone ahead and I've pre-done some of this wiring. I didn't wire in the kill switch yet because this one is actually a top mounted. So I've actually got to screw it in from the front to the back. And then I'll wire it in. But the wiring for that is pretty simple. We've only got the one pickup, so instead of wiring it to your 3-way switch, you're going to wire it directly to your volume in the same spot that you would wire that 3-way switch into. Now the kill switch seems complicated when you're thinking about it, but all you're doing is you're interrupting the signal. So basically we're just going to take these 2 lugs and we're going to wire it one to the ground from your input jack and one to the ground from the tone pot. Normally you would take your input jack and you would wire it directly to the tone pot. This is going to then come in the center of it, so that way when it is up and engaged you have sound, and when you press it you don't have sound. So it interrupts the signal. Now I've already gone ahead and I've put in the anchors for my bridge because I've got the ground wire in there. And I was thinking about screwing this to the front, but this is such a tight pressure fit that I've got here that I don't think it's going to be necessary. So let's get to wiring it. And then basically you're just going to plug it in, test the electronics. You're going to take a screwdriver or something metal and just kind of touch on the poles just to see if you get a sound. That way you can test your pots and your kill switch. And just for fun while we're here, now this one is a bit more confusing as far as the wiring goes. Fender is not very clear on how they wire their Acoustasonic. They call their settings core acoustic, rhythm acoustic, and electric. Electric is pretty straightforward, but the best I can figure is that it is the undersaddle in the neck position, the piezo in the middle position, and the electric in the bridge position. So that's how I'm going to wire this one. So I've got a standard Fender 5-way switch here, so I'm just going to go ahead and wire to the 3 points where my main positions are, and then we'll go from there. And with that, we got the other one all set up. now that we've made it this far, all that's really left is to do the final setup and the fret dressing. Now we're going to call it here for this video, and I'm going to go ahead and get into dressing the frets on both of these instruments. What you're going to want to remember when you do that is you're going to want to knock off all the sharp ends. You're going to want to do them at a 30-degree angle and then round them over to make them nice and smooth along the edge of the fretboard. You're then going to flatten out your fretboard, mark all your frets, and then level them with a leveling beam, making sure to utilize your fret rocker all the way across, just to make sure that you don't have any high frets in the middle somewhere. And then once all that is said and done, you're then going to put a little bit of relief in the neck, then you're going to string it up, and we're going to then adjust the bridge and saddle. Once that is all said and done, you should be good to go to just start playing. I'm going to go ahead and get to it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And don't forget to follow the rest of the guys down below. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.